Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. Today it is our show Keane on United. And today I'm joined by football CFB, Callum McFadden. I'm joined by Shane Dowley, and I'm joined from Dale from Stretty News. So today, obviously, look, I suppose we're all a bit down the dumps over the result yesterday. So I'm just going to get to it straight away. And we had the FA Cup semi-final yesterday versus Chelsea. It was a big game in our season. Lads, how are you feeling about yesterday's game?
Dejected, disappointed. I was fuming after the match, and then I tried to take an hour or so away from social media because the reactions itself, they prompt knee-jerk reactions, and I wanted to give myself a few hours to really reflect on it. But I'm still not much better 24 hours on. I'm still angry. I suppose people are kind of picking out that he made so many changes, which I think he was kind of almost forced into. And people then say that he shouldn't have had 5 consecutive same teams for 5 games in a row. But then I'd argue our league position right now is a result of that. And that's why we're almost clinging on to a top 4 spot. And you look at the end of the season, what matters more, an FA Cup trophy or getting back into the Champions League? I'd argue Champions League.
Yeah, I was surprised by the team he put out, to be honest. I actually thought he'd rest more players than he did. I know Keane, we were on about during the week, we were saying put out a completely different 11. I was surprised he played Bruno and he played Maguire, De Gea, and Rashford. And so I had no problem with him resting the players, but I felt like he almost rested the wrong ones. Because out of the players, the last few games, the players I think they needed to rest most were Bruno and Wan-Bissaka, and the two of them started. So I think he got the team wrong, but not because he was resting players. I think he was dead right to rest players. I'm not a fan of 5 at the back, but it's kind of hard to argue because he's used that a lot in the big games this year. And it's worked a lot of the time. But if he was going to go 2 up top, I think he should have played a Gallo with Rashford or James. I don't think he should have Rashford and James because there's no focal point there. There's none of them are going to hold the ball up and make it stick. So I think he got the team wrong, but not because people saying. I think people are being disingenuous criticising him over resting players because most fans were saying that we need to rest players. And you look in the last few games, the team's running on fumes. So I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with that in the sense that he's been criticised for resting so many players, but at the same time, you're right, he had no real choice. When you play the same team 5 games in a row, that's going to build momentum, but it's also going to build fatigue. So I think he was right to make changes. I think the idea of the back 5 was a good idea. However, obviously, when Bailly ends up being injured, it completely changes his tactical plan, and you could argue plays into Chelsea's hands. The most concerning element for me, and I've said it, and Dale will know this because I've spoken to Dale about this as well, for me, Lindelof is just a player who can be targeted by physical centre-forwards and bullied. And Maguire's getting a lot of stick at the moment as well because of a lack of pace, too many touches on the ball. But I know it's controversial. Some people have came at me on Twitter for saying this, but I just think Maguire needs a different centre-half next to him. For me, too many teams target Lindelof as someone who they can really go for. And as we've seen in the Tottenham game especially, Maguire's very dominant in the air. He can be commanding on the park, but the one thing it's very obvious he lacks is pace, and that's something that United desperately need to address. I saw also someone questioning today, would you pay £100 million for Sancho, given that there are other areas that need to be strengthened? I don't know what you lads think of that.
Yeah, I think centre-back is priority because if you asked me 2 years ago when the Maguire links began, when Mourinho was in charge, I would have said I'd take him. He's an improvement of what we have. But if our aim is to be winning league titles, I don't think Maguire should be our best centre-back. And that goes on to the partner with Victor Lindelof. And I said on my own podcast last week, every week people look to slag off Lindelof. I think we can all accept he's not a world-class centre-back. But since the resumption of football, Harry Maguire's been making mistakes every week. Concentration lapses, you mentioned his pace. And I know he cost 80 million, and people might be afraid to hit out at him. But my God, I think he's been awful since football's come back. I really think he's been poor. That could come with being partnered by Lindelof, who again isn't world class. Dowley isn't world class. We haven't got a world class centre back at the club, and that's a big issue. And you're talking about spending 100 million on Sancho. The club have it, well, which they do. You see City breaking financial fair play rules and getting away with it. Go out and sign a Sancho and a centre back worth 100 million. UEFA won't mind.
Absolutely. Like, you look at Man City, supposedly not guilty, but then getting, a 10 million fine. I know I alluded to it on the podcast with Rob Dawson over the weekend that just didn't sit well at me. And Dale's after making a very good point, in that respect. But absolutely, I think defensively we are lacking leaders massively, and quality as well. Quality is just not there. Like, obviously people are saying that Axel Tuanzebe might come in and he might be the ideal partner for Maguire, but he's been injury prone, and it's up in the air where his United career is going to go. And I think heavy investment is needed in the back four, especially a centre half.
Just on that, yeah, it's really annoying, like, because on paper, like, Boy or Tuanzebe, like, are a really good fit to partner Maguire, like, because obviously, like, his biggest weakness is, like, turns like a fucking bus, like, and he's slow, and he actually plays, like, on the front foot a lot, like, and that's why people spin him so often, like, and he doesn't have the pace to recover. But in all them things that he lacks, like, that's where they're really good at, like, so ideally you'd want Boy to partner him just because they're a good matchup together, but Boy just can't stay fit, like.
Well, the other thing that lots of pundits are saying, and I must say, I put him up as a potential signing for this summer, Nathan Ake, but as Dale made the point there, if you're not going to have Harry Maguire as your number one centre half, is Nathan Ake going to really be a number one centre half? Do you really need to look at the next level? You've got Rob McNolly, who at AC Milan, who Rob Dawson referenced the other day has been someone United are interested in. Skriniar at Inter Milan as well, but as Jose Mourinho, I'm sure, would remind us if we asked him, is there an appetite at United to spend £80 million on a centre half again? It was hard enough for them being convinced to do that with Maguire. It dragged on for a year in Mourinho's case, then the full transfer window last summer. So are they going to be willing to go into the market and do that again? Personally, I worry they wouldn't be. I think Ake, I must say, would be a good partner for Maguire. He's left-footed. He would cost, I think they're saying, if Bournemouth go down £20 million, £25 million in today's market, that's incredible value. I think Luke Shaw, although he's been doing well since the lockdown period, I still think if the club want to challenge for the major honours, you need a better left-back than Luke Shaw. But I suppose if we're talking about Sancho in a centre-half, I would deal with Shaw for at least another 12 months anyway.
You'll be sickened to hear, Callum, just before we jumped on, The Guardian are after breaking that City are placing a 35 million bid on Ake. So there's a bit of a pep genius in your brain.
Thanks, Dale. I was just getting over the result, and then now I'm right back into that lull.
Just on the kind of the defensive side of things, lads. David De Gea. Look, we have to get this discussion at some point of the podcast. Look, I suppose in the last 18 months, David De Gea's form has taken a dip, and that's just kind of putting it lightly. Like, there's been games where mistakes have happened. In very big games, he's let in goals that previously he would have saved and with quite some ease. But now his confidence seems to be shot. Dale, I'm going to come to you first with regards to this. Do you think maybe his days at Manchester United are now numbered?
Yeah, I do. I think last season we probably would have had a similar chat after one of his mistakes, and you would have asked a similar question, and I would have said to you, I'll stand by him. We can't keep standing by him. Mistakes are keep happening at this level we're talking about here. We want to win league titles. If your goalkeeper's is making mistakes like that, you're not going to win titles. Jurgen Klopp seen this at Liverpool, made changes, got in Alisson, and made a big difference. I think what's big here is the 2018 World Cup when he was with Spain, and it all went pear-shaped for him. He hasn't recovered from that. But back then, I remember speaking to a Spanish journalist, and I asked someone that was close to the national team, and I asked him, what's happening with De Gea? And he said to me that the two centre-backs, just didn't trust them. And that's huge. And I'm thinking now, going into our remaining last 2 league games, whoever's playing centre-back, they don't trust De Gea right now. You look at Mason Mount's goal. That was a straightforward save. And if you don't trust your goalkeeper behind you, that's a big problem. And I'm starting to wonder, we're all talking about Dean Henderson, who, let's not forget, the step up from Sheffield will be massive. I'm not sure if he'll be ready for it. And I haven't seen that much of him this season to really have an opinion on him. But the one person I do have an opinion on is Sergio Romero, who no one's mentioning and has never let Manchester United down. And he must be thinking at the moment, why didn't I start yesterday? Because he plays most cup games. I don't know why De Gea started. And I'm starting to think now, should he start the remaining 2 games? He hasn't done anything to warrant the place right this season. He's made mistake after mistake. And this sense of loyalty because he was a good servant to the club, we're losing points over that. And we're going to continue to lose points over it. I wish I could say that he could bounce back from it. But since that World Cup, that's 2 years ago. I can't see him coming back from it, unfortunately. He was the best goalkeeper in the world. Now he's a million miles away from it.
I think as well, you're spot on, Dale, because for me, when your goalkeeper is the main story, there's a problem. It either suggests the outfielders in your team aren't performing well enough, as we saw a few years ago with United, and De Gea was the shining light and he was the main story. He was getting the Player of the Year awards, and fair play to him for those performances, but that shouldn't be the main story of a club like Manchester United. And then now we're into the parallel where he's the main story for the wrong reasons. He's the main story because he's costing the club points. I think there was a statistic in the Premier League that said he is the player whose errors have led to the most points being dropped and the most goals being conceded. And you think, obviously, you're maybe expecting that to be one of the goalkeepers in the league, but for it to be him, it's not good. For me, I would start Romero in the last 2 games. I think he needs a breather. And then if I was Ollie, I would bring Dean Henderson back from Sheffield United. There would be no promise that some of the people in the English media are thinking, he's been promised he's going to be number 1 next season. I don't think you can make that promise to Henderson. I think he needs to earn that jersey. So I'd bring him back at pre-season and I'd let them fight it out. If I'm my heart's saying De Gea will be able to get the kick up the backside with Henderson coming back and regain some form. But as Dale said, my head's saying I think time is running out. And with a massive new contract that he signed last year, I just worry he could become an expensive problem like Alexis Sanchez was.
He's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world right now. Let that sink.
And how do you solve that if he's the number 2? That's where, as I say, I worry. I think, say Henderson comes back and they are impressed with him, surely you would need to move De Gea on because Romero's not going to then take number 3 and then having the world's most expensive goalkeeper on the bench becomes a story and a circus within itself.
It's going to be tough to move him on them wages, though.
That is going to be tough.
Could end up like Sanchez, like, and he'll just dig his heels in. He won't want to take a wage cut. Like, it's sad. It's sad to see him go out like this because he was so good. Like, he was amazing. In Mourinho's second year in 17-18, that's the best season I've ever seen from a goalkeeper in my life. Like, he was just amazing. Like, and see what he's after becoming, it breaks your heart. But I remember saying it last year when he got the contract, saying it was a mistake to give him a contract that big because he had been underperforming ever since the World Cup. So, and now he's still underperforming. Like, if you're underperforming for 2 years, you're not underperforming. Like, that's just your level now. Like, so he's clearly finished. Like, and it is upsetting, but it is what it is. You can't stick by him just for the sake of it.
I want to do Atletico Madrid, want him back. We'll take Oblak.
Can I just make a completely different point on De Gea right now? As you know, I'm from Scotland, so our national team gets laughed at by so many. But you got to realise, guys, Spain have got 2 options. They've got De Gea or Kepa. I mean, that's fantastic to watch from an outsider's point of view.
Absolutely. Do you know what though? They don't have Darren Randolph in goal.
No.
At this stage, I think I'd be giving Darren Randolph a phone.
Spanish keepers always fall off relatively early, though. It's weird, like, because most people would say like keepers' primes last until their mid-30s or whatever. But most Spanish, like Reina, Casillas, and now De Gea, of all, like, De Gea is 29 now, and looks completely finished. Casillas couldn't get a game from Madrid when he was, I think, maybe 31, 32. I think Reina was the same. He was sold by Liverpool in his mid-30s. So it's just strange that always seems to be the case with Spanish keepers.
I think you look at it as well, you have to bring Joe Hart into the equation, because there was a season or two he was terrific, and then all of a sudden,
amazing, man.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he fell apart. So I think when you talk about the best goalkeepers in the world, and it's why Buffon is definitely up there, it's the consistent level for years that he's been remaining at the top. De Gea, like, you wonder what's the lifespan of a goalkeeper at the top, and if you look into it, I'm sure there's very few that have lasted the length of time that Buffon has. And I suppose you're right, because years ago, it was rare when De Gea came to Manchester United. He was so young to be a starting goalkeeper at a big club, and that's changed in recent years. You had Courtois, you have Oblak, you have a number of young goalkeepers. Dean Henderson in Sheffield now starting. It's all over the place. So I wonder how long they will last now at the top.
Yeah, it's strange, man.
Absolutely. Like, you even look at De Gea's wages, lads. He's on, what, 375,000 a week, roughly. Like,
that's scandalous for a goalkeeper to be on that much, man. Like, what were United thinking giving him that contract?
I wonder will he throw it alone.
Could do it one now. Lads, so look, this Wednesday, we do have the upcoming game against West Ham. It's pretty significant for the race for top four. Obviously, our good mate, Jose Mourinho, done us a solid yesterday by beating Leicester 3-0. And now, personally, I was hoping they'd get a fourth, but look, beggars can't be choosers. So with relation to this game, lads, like, where do you think, like, what are the key battles? Like, where do we have to watch out for West Ham?
I think when you look at West Ham, they're a team who, with Mikel Antonio, one of the form players in the league, I think he scored 4 goals the previous weekend there in the same match, which is good at any level of football, never mind the Premier League. I think with the significance placed on United's defence by us in this podcast, that David Moyes and West Ham are going to be aware that defence is shaky and is under pressure. And if De Gea starts, I'll be honest with you, we've seen under David Moyes, he was a fan of, 87 crosses that game against Fulham years ago. So I think if I was Moyes, I'd be saying to these players, have 87 shots in goal and De Gea might drop one in.
And the other side of it too, I do wonder going into the game what West Ham would be thinking, because you look at the table, they're safe now. Their season's practically wrapped up. Now the other side of it too, I don't think any team is going to go into a game against Manchester United and not give it their all, because it's Manchester United, and at the end of the day there's a transfer market coming up, and perform well against one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you'll have teams looking at you, so you'll have that aspect of it too. But yeah, it's squeaky bum time for Manchester United going into this game. You're looking at the table and you see Spurs did as a favourite the weekend, but I won't be comfortable unless we come out of that game with 3 points going into the Leicester game. It's going to be tough because we can see the players are leggy, fatigue is kicking in. But Solskjaer needs to ask them, Champions League football next season, do you want it, or do you want to stick at this mediocre level of hoping to get top 4 every season? Because it's just not good enough. We're talking about De Gea making mistakes. It all comes down to Solskjaer at the end of the season. Has he got the balls to make big decisions? And he showed that in the transfer market last season. He bought well, but to do that consistently, that's the challenge at the top.
Yeah, that's my only concern as well. Is just the team looks so tired, man. And I think we're playing Wednesday. I think West Ham will have a full week's rest as well by the time we play it. So the fixtures is just after shagging us. Like, with Chelsea got 2 days extra rest as well. Not that that's an excuse or whatever. Like, but that's like Antonio is a bad matchup for Maguire. But I don't actually. I'm fairly confident we'll win, but you just can't trust this fucking team, man.
There is the David Moyes factor as well, because you got
West Ham bet us in the reverse fixture this season as well. Bet us easily as well, to be honest.
You just got to think from Moyes' point of view, where we're talking about United going for this top 4. The Machiavellian side of me thinks David Moyes will be going into this game all guns blazing from a selfish perspective, because if he can set United back with a convincing win, then we might see him try and rub it in for the first time, which he's not been able to do for many years for obvious reasons with the Sunderland debacle, etc. But I think for him, personal pride's going to be massive. Can he translate that to his players? That's another question. But as you say, Antonio against Maguire's not a battle that fills me with confidence based on current form. From United's point of view, we're going to talk about obviously predicted 11 soon. It's important that Pogba starts a game, that you've got Pogba and Fernandes on the pitch. You're creating as much as you possibly can. West Ham are a team who can concede goals. We've seen that this season, or they wouldn't have been in a relegation battle in the first place. So United need to be on the front foot from the off to make sure that they can get an early goal, because I think especially after the weekend, an early goal would certainly calm the nerves, not just to the players, but I think Ollie himself.
Absolutely. Like, and I look at one key battle, definitely the weekend, Wednesday, would be Bruno Fernandes against Declan Rice. I think if Bruno can get the better of Declan Rice, I think that'd be massive in the game. Like, as much as people in this country don't like Declan Rice for other reasons internationally, he's a fantastic player. He's a great player. But I think if Bruno can get the better of him, it's definitely a huge battle that we can win on Wednesday night.
Would you have him at United, Keane? Would you have Declan Rice at United?
I'd probably do you know what? I'm going to get some slating after this podcast for saying it, but I would. I'd take him at United.
Too, man. I was always against his signing him because I was like, he's kind of too slow on the ball, and I feel like he kind of get caught out playing against a deep block like he does a bit for England. But now since we have Bruno playing higher up the field and Pogba's deeper, he doesn't have to be that progressive with his passing. We just need a DM who's going to be able to take the ball under a bit of pressure and then just shuffle left to right 5 yards and just get out a bit of pressure and then just move it on to Pogba or move it on to Bruno, Just need someone who's going to be solid defensively and just keep it simple and do the basics right.
I don't know what it is about Declan Rice. He impresses me, but at the same time, I'm not entirely 100% convinced now. There will be people listening to this, you saying they were going to laugh, Keane, at the fact you said he should go to United. There will be people listening to us laughing at me for saying that I'm not 100% convinced. And the reason I mention that is because I always draw parallels with players that play in a similar position and had similar hype. And Eric Dyer was one of those who, for a few seasons, people were saying, I would walk over broken glass to bring Eric Dyer to Manchester United. They're a top team. And he's the sort of... I feel Declan Rice has got a wee bit of that about him. I think I moved to United. Would I take him deep down? I would at a reasonable price, but somebody was mentioning 100 million the other day, and if you pay 100 million quid for... If you pay 100 million quid for Declan Rice, then David Moyes may as well become the manager again, because that would just be insane.
I'm going to go out on a whim. I don't think... I've seen him play well twice. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league, and I would have put Eric Dyer in the same bracket a few years ago. It was Jose Mourinho that wanted Eric Dyer. I was thinking, you see him playing now centre back some weeks. Declan Rice, I think he was a centre back too. And it's like I feel when I'm watching him, it's like he's being shoehorned into positions rather than have an actual specific role himself. We definitely need a defensive midfielder because Matic hasn't got the engine to be that player all season. Next year, we can't forget that he's a player in the wrong side of his 30s now. But if you ask me if I could pick one player I'd bring in, it's a tough one. There's not many really in the Premier League that I jump out. Maybe Ndidi is a good player at Leicester. But another one that I've watched in the Champions League, he was terrific against Liverpool, was Thomas Partey at Atletico Madrid. He's another really, really good player and someone that when you watch him, you can see he is a holding midfielder. He's not a hybrid centre-back being shoehorned.
An interesting thing about Thomas Partey, he has a 53 million release clause in his contract at the moment.
Yeah. He's signing a new contract with Atletico, I think, is he? There's reports there saying he's apparently he was just using the Arsenal interest to get a new deal off Atletico, but I don't know.
Do you know what the funny thing about that, right? If his agent is saying, right, we need to get a bigger deal, let's use Arsenal, who don't really pay much money. You know, you need to ask some serious questions about your agent. Use Manchester United or Real Madrid or someone, because that works.
Like Arsenal, who are trying to reduce players' wages, and they're trying to use them as a negotiation toy. Like, it's baffling, really. Lads, with relation to the West Ham game on Wednesday, I'm interested to hear your predicted 11. So obviously, look, we shifted our team. Like, we did make a few changes on Sunday, but like, what are you thinking tactically? What do you think we should line up? And Shane, I'm going to come to you first with your predicted 11.
Is this what I think we should do, or what I think Ollie will do?
Well, go what you think we should do.
I go Romero, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire. I would go Boy, but I'd imagine he won't be fit.
Oh, can't. Concussion rules too. He missed the 2 games.
Is Shaw back?
They're saying he might be back, but like, I suppose we won't know until game day.
Yeah, like if he's back, I definitely put him in, just because the last 2 games really made me realise how tough it is when you don't have a left foot or a left back, because the full-back's constantly cutting in. So if Shaw left back, I want to have Matic and Pogba there, but Matic probably won't be ready, like, considering he started against Chelsea yesterday. So I'd say he'll go Pogba, McTominay, but if it's up to me, I'd probably go Pogba, Matic, Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial. I'd just go best 11 again, because like, I know the players are running on fumes, but just 2 games to go, so just empty the tank, and you know, like, surely we'll have enough quality to get by West Ham, you know.
And Dale, do you have any different opinions to Shane in terms of your predicted 11?
No, I've pretty much gone with the same. I didn't hear Shane's 2 centre back pairing, but I went with Maguire and Lindelof. I have Romero in goal. I just think he has to start. He's the next best option at the moment. I don't feel any member of that United team looking behind him is confident in De Gea. They can't be. And as a mental trait going into a game, if you're not convinced by your goalkeeper behind you, it's a good chance you're going to be in trouble. Like you know, Callum mentioned that David Moyes, with his iconic display against Fulham with all the crosses, you know, he's going to be onto his players to have shots at De Gea. And who wouldn't? I keep watching that goal, trying to avoid it today. But the one Mason Mount scored on Sunday, what an absolute joke. I'm pretty sure I one of the worst goalkeepers of all time, I would have stopped it.
Callum, how are you feeling about the starting lineup? Do you have anything different, anything outrageous?
I've tried to just mix it up, because in reality, I agree with Shane and Dale. I think that's the realistic option of what's going to happen. But I've went full Mike Bassett and went 4-4-2, but I'm going to play a diamond. So
4-4-2.
Within the mixer.
I would have Romero in goal. My back 4 would be Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof and Williams. I would play Shaw if he was fit, but I think Williams will play. The diamond would be Matic holding it, Pogba and Fred and Fernandes in the attacking position, and then I would have Rashford and Martial up front, with the hope that Rashford, one of the 2 of them, can support the defence by dropping back in when we need to. The reason I would play a diamond is I think the team are leggy at the moment, and I think it should be a game where we try and keep possession. And for me, the more players you've got in the pitch that are comfortable with the ball and they're not looking to get in behind, the more you can retain possession. That's the way I would go. But in reality, I think Dale and Shane's options are the more realistic ones. One thing I will say, and I do feel sorry for him at the moment, is I just hope that Daniel James doesn't start. I think he's great when we're playing on the counter-attack, but for me, I think Saturday didn't really do him much good. Sunday, sorry.
The one thing about Daniel James, I totally agree, counter-attack, there's a style that suits him. We've seen that against City in the Manchester Derby before the season was suspended at Old Trafford. I don't think he has, right now he can develop it, I'm sure. I don't think he has a football IQ. When it comes to having the ball at his feet, you mentioned players that are comfortable on the ball, people that can keep possession. He's very good when he's running direct, and he has defenders that he can put under pressure. But when United are asked to keep the ball and be a little bit smart in possession, players like Bruno Fernandes, even I know people laugh at this, but even Jesse Lingard, I thought he should have started against Chelsea because he's a player that actually Solskjaer trusted last season in the big games. I know he's nothing special, but he's a player that is very good on the press. He presses players, he can put teams under pressure. I'm looking at different options, and we all said the players are leggy and who could come in. I was really surprised he didn't even feature on the bench against Chelsea. But yeah, Daniel James is someone that I just think he's tailored for certain games, whereas Mason Greenwood is more lethal in around the box, and he's becoming an all-round better player.
Yeah, with my predicted 11, I've kind of gone the same as yourself and Shane. I've gone Romero on goal with De Gea. Just needs to be dropped. Simple as that. You know, I said yesterday on Twitter, and the lads you probably seen, I said he's finished.
Can't keep getting away with this, man.
You can't. You can't. Like I said it, like we have a group chat with the weekly armchair kickoff, and I said it yesterday after the goal. Mason Mount one was like, you know, you can't keep getting away with it, and you know, I got a bit slated for saying it, but look, at the end of the day, like we're fighting for Champions League. We need to have our best probably goalkeeper in goal, and at the moment, our best goalkeeper is Romero. At the moment, under contract, who's at the club right now, it's Romero. Again, back four, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Look, that selection speaks for itself. A centre back, I have Lindelof and Maguire. Now, if Boye was fit, I'd have Boye in centre half. But look, at the moment, you know, it's Lindelof and Maguire. And if he's fit, if he's near 100% fitness, I'd start Luke Shaw left back. Brandon Williams, I think like he's great. He's good and up and coming, but I think we need Luke Shaw there, especially the good point Shane made, especially like a right-footed left back. You know, it just doesn't sit well at me. You need a natural left-footed left back. Again, I've went with Matic and Pogba in midfield. Now thinking about that, Matic probably going to be leggy, especially he played the majority of the game on Sunday, and he has played a lot of minutes since he restarted. So I'd like to see McTominay come in myself beside Pogba, but most likely Ollie will go for Matic as usual. And then obviously the front four, then I have Bruno on the 10, and Greenwood, Martial and Rashford. I think that's the way we're going to go. Lads, yes,
West Ham high presses high up the field. Looking at the game yesterday and the game against Southampton, and how poor United have been playing when teams have pressed us high up the field. Because before lockdown, where United looked to be poor, I was playing as a deep block. When they had teams pinned back, they couldn't break them down. But now, since they have Bruno, Rashford, and Pogba back, they seem to be able to cut teams open a lot easier. But look at, I'm trying not to be too concerned about the game yesterday, because I'm not sure how much of that, how poorly we were at playing out from the back yesterday. I'm not sure how much of that was down to how tired the players were, or how bad we actually are playing out from the back, man. Because I don't know, Chelsea pressed us, but their press isn't even that good. It's not even as good as Southampton's. But United just moved the ball so slowly. They're moving it out to Williams left foot, and the wing back their wing backs were already up on top of our wing backs before the pass was even made.
I think Shane, you touched on something there that I think was the biggest factor behind the performance yesterday, because Matic has probably been the best player we've had since we came back. He's unlocked teams. He's the reason why Fernandes can do what he can do on the pitch. The transitions from midfield to the final third, it's a lot down to him. He's almost been like a quarterback protecting the defenders. But against Chelsea, those passes weren't getting to Fernandes. Those passes weren't quick enough. They weren't accurate enough. And with Chelsea's press, they were retaining possession. If Matic doesn't have a good game midfield, it's very, very hard for United to do what they do best. And that's why I stress the need for almost a defensive midfielder and someone younger who can play more games next season. I know Matic's been very, very good, but I'm just worried that if we rely on him going into next season, he's going to run out of throttle. He's the wrong side of 30, and it's when he plays well, United will win. I've no doubt about that. There's no team in the league that I wouldn't fancy us against if Matic is on his day.
Yeah, man. Sorry, Keane, go on. You up?
Like Matic, he's been fantastic, and I like what he does. I kind of since we've come back from lockdown, the role he's kind of played is almost like the Michael Carrick role. When Carrick done for so many years, where Carrick has sat in that quarterback role, dictated play, slotting in front of the two centre halves and doing his thing. Like, again, as they had said, you probably do need someone younger with a bit more legs and a bit more sharp than Matic, because, like, I know we gave him a new contract because his foreman, and it was like, I think it was 2-year or 3-year contract that we did give him. But looking at it now, we probably do need, looking at long term, we definitely do need someone who maybe in the mold of a Saul Miguez or maybe a Thomas Partey or someone like that who can do the same job as Matic but has a bit more legs about him.
Yeah, I thought it was a weird one to play in yesterday, to be honest. United obviously looked like they were hoping for to get Chelsea on the break, Rashford and James up front. But then at the same time, they are looking to try and play out from the back. But if you're going to try and play out from the back, especially with Chelsea's press, you're going to need to be able to move the ball quicker and be able to go from back to front quicker. So that's what I thought was weird. He didn't start a gallop, so because the ball was going up to lads and it wasn't taken, and it was coming back, and it was just putting pressure on us. So,
well, it'd be nice too if on Wednesday night the referee does his job. Bruno Fernandes and he lost a bollock the other day against Chelsea. Yeah. They were taking lumps out of us and nothing was done. And Paul Pogba was the first player to get booked and he came off the bench. And there was several fouls. I think there was something like 21 Chelsea fouls.
22 Chelsea fouls.
Crazy.
I've seen a thing today saying the whole game went on, I think, for 109 minutes or something, but the ball was only in play for 55 of the minutes. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, Chelsea, their game management was really good because you could tell any time it broke down for them, they stopped United springing. Any time it would come into Bruno, he was either fouled or he was pressed really quick, and we couldn't get to turn around at all and hit him on the break, to be honest. And they slowed it down when they needed to be. So, fair enough, it worked. Fuck them.
I just really worry about Wednesday if West Ham score first. I just worry that the legginess and the slow turnover of play comes back to bite United. Yeah. So, as I say, for me, an early goal to settle the nerves, not just for us, but for the team itself, because we cannot afford to have a slow start. The more you let West Ham grow into the game, the more dangerous they'll be as the game goes on, because as Dale's already said, they've got nothing really to play for. They're safe. So in the last 20 minutes, David Moyes could just completely go for the game and pile the pressure on United, because if they lose the game, let's be honest, who really cares that they're safe? Whereas for United, they've got so much to lose, and that's the side that worries me, because these teams that have got nothing to lose, sometimes the saying is they go on the beach, but so often you see them pull off shock results because they can play with a freedom that they very rarely get to play with any other week.
It's massive, Cal. I remember saying to you when the games are coming back about no fans being in the stadium. When you go behind and you haven't got someone roaring at you, calling you all names under the sun, you need that edge about a game. Like I was saying this yesterday when we were 2-0 behind against Chelsea, and I think we were in something like touching on the 60th minute, and I was there screaming, "Just get a goal now, and bring it back to 2-1 and go again." And I think not having any atmosphere in the stadium is a massive toll on that. If you can get an early goal and the players you're playing against can't be lifted by their fans, it's a massive bonus.
Absolutely, and especially like Old Trafford when it's rocking, it's an amazing place to be. And I can imagine being a player out in that pitch when that stadium is rocking. Like it can be very intimidating. Any away team coming in, like years ago.
Keane does not like playing up in the complex either.
Oh, yeah, we won't go there. We won't go there. Lads, I'm going to come to you with regards to like the top four. Like, look, it is a very close race. Like, it's a 3-horse race. Chelsea obviously have Liverpool this week, and they've Wolves on Sunday. Leicester basically have us on Sunday, and then we have West Ham and Leicester. Like, what do you think? What do you predict? Do you think that we're going to finish in the top four? Do you think maybe like will Liverpool maybe throw a spanner in the works and maybe Chelsea will drop points? Like, how are you feeling about the top four this week?
I think Liverpool will go into this wanting to win after the beating they suffered against City. They won't want to lose against another big team after winning the title, because that could tarnish their reputation after such a good season they had. I think they, as champions, they'll want to go out and beat Chelsea and make a stamp on it. I actually wouldn't be surprised if United still got third. Chelsea have still two big games to play. Liverpool and Wolves. And Wolves have been terrific this season, really have been good. They're definitely a team that I think, look at their players on paper, they're a side that I think belong actually in the Champions League. You look at the quality they have, and it was no surprise to me they were pushing up until recently, really. And I think United go out against West Ham Wednesday night. You look at the fixtures. We're talking about Chelsea having two big games. We have it relatively easy. Go out and beat West Ham. Go into the last game against Leicester with a bit of hope and, grabbing onto something. And it shouldn't be a problem. I reckon we'll get third and Chelsea will get fourth.
Like, I look from my side here. I look at this. Like, we've West Ham and we've Leicester. Leicester have a lot of injuries. Like, they have a lot of injuries. Chilwell's out. Soyuncu was suspended. Soyuncu was suspended. James Maddison is out. And, like, they have two really young wing-backs. They're there. Like, we can exploit them on Sunday. But I suppose that's another discussion that we'll have on Thursday with regard to the final day preview. But definitely, like, on Wednesday, we need to throw the kitchen sink at it. Make no mistake about it. We need to throw kitchen sink. Like, we need to win that game. And we need to win the goal difference could be a factor on Sunday. Depending on what happens in the Chelsea game, we need to score a couple of goals on Wednesday night, in my opinion. Just to kind of get that kind of nugget, that goal difference can maybe affect the top four. We need to score a couple on Wednesday night.
I agree. So, I think the goal difference you're spot on, Keane, could play a big part. And in terms of Leicester, I mean, I know this is to talk about United, but what is going on at Leicester since they've come back from the lockdown? They have been absolutely horrific. That game against Tottenham the other day, the first half, they were just bullied the whole game, and obviously, again, being from Scotland, half of Scotland wants Brendan Rodgers to fail miserably because he left Celtic very quickly. And anytime Leicester lose, I got about 80 text messages saying, ha ha ha, Rodgers, etc. So the thing that Brendan Rodgers was criticised for during his time with Celtic, he was very successful, was when it's going well, it's lovely football, everyone waxes lyrical about him and his team, but he doesn't have a plan B. And in his last season at Celtic before he left, that was a major criticism, as the team were dropping points. And I think they took up until October to reach 12 goals in the league. It was very narrow, dodgy wins. It wasn't convincing the way it was the first two seasons. And remarkably, it's went that way for him at Leicester post-lockdown. I remember, Dale, when we spoke about football coming back, famous last words I said, I think Leicester are going to be in a great position to come back from the lockdown. I think they'll have momentum. I think they'll get top four. I think they'll keep their best players and they'll go again. But I was completely wrong with that. I hold my hands up. They've been really poor, really sluggish. And I agree with you, Keane. Get a few goals against West Ham. Get that gap over Leicester and put all the pressure on them in that last game. And with all the pressure on them, get into that. With the form they're in, I don't think they'll handle it because, as I say, against Spurs, they folded like a pack of cards.
Callum, you're admitting to an Alan Hansen moment.
I am. Honestly, it was just... I just remember thinking...
But the thing is about Rodgers too. You look back at when he was managing Liverpool, and I always refer to that game against Palace when they tried to knock up a goal difference, and it was totally utterly naive.
Christian Bull, boy.
Christian Bull, yeah. Yeah, you had Suarez with the face over his top. But I thought by going to Scotland and managing Celtic and winning league titles, that traits like that he would learn. He'd have time to learn and develop his coaching. And there were stages this season where I thought he was becoming a more accomplished manager. But and I suppose the return hasn't been fair to him. We talk about the injuries and so on. But you're right, when things are going well, there's people talking about Rodgers in the future potentially even becoming a Manchester United manager. There was links with that a few months ago because Leicester were playing such good football, and there was even talk about them challenging City and Liverpool for the title, which of course fell apart as well. But yeah, you kind of have to ask why towards these stages of the season are his teams collapsing? What's that down to? Just something we touched on as well with David Moyes, Callum. I wanted to ask you, being a Scotsman, and trying to maybe take away your affiliation with Manchester United, would you ever like Moyes managing Scotland?
In terms of managing Scotland, in terms of the national team, I think it's something that could be a good fit. I think his spells at West Ham have shown that there's still still something left in the tank for David Moyes. I think the days of him being a top 10 regular finishing Premier League manager are gone. I think with the national team he could do a job, but I'm happy that Steve Clarke's in charge. I know he made a cryptic comment in an interview a few years ago that he would like to manage Celtic, and he didn't rule out the possibility of one day managing Rangers, which would be chaos considering he played for Celtic. But what's strange is I don't think in club football up here with either half of the Glasgow Giants there'd be an appetite for David Moyes. But the national team I think would be a different story because, well, let's be honest, at times it can be turgid football, but he can get a team organised, and with Scotland that's what we need. As I always reference to whenever anybody asks me about Scotland, our two best players are left backs. Just let that sink in.
Oh, stop. Well, I'm just going to go my top 4 prediction, lads, with regards to this. I'll go Chelsea 3rd, United 4th. I think Chelsea will beat Wolves on the final day. I kind of have a feeling that they'll get something out of Liverpool as well. I kind of have that feeling the way Liverpool are so on the beach at the moment. But I'm going to contradict myself. They have a great record at Anfield that has been broken in 2-3 years in terms of being unbeaten. So will they want to lose that on the day that they lift the title? I suppose, look, time will tell. But I think United will get 4th. I think Chelsea 3rd. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the same, to be honest. I think I think Chelsea could beat Liverpool Wednesday night, to be honest. They just have a good record against it. I get what Dale is saying about Liverpool will want to bounce back, and I think they're lifting the trophy Wednesday night as well. But I don't know, I just think Chelsea will get something, to be honest. But I don't know, like, it could go either way, man, because it's so tight. Like, it's only a point. I think we'll win our last 2 games. I think we'll beat West Ham, and I definitely think we'll beat Leicester on the last day. So it just comes down to whether Chelsea win their last 2 games or not. But if we beat West Ham by a few Wednesday night, we could afford to lose against Leicester.
Don't start saying that, because
Well, the one thing that I've learned from following United all the years is we never do things the easy way.
Absolutely. Lads, with score predictions for Wednesday night. Now, obviously, I'm going to go with kind of head more than heart. My heart says United go out and win 4-5-0 and bump up the goal difference. But by myself, I'm going to go for a 2-1 United. I think we're going to be on the edge Wednesday night again. I think Antonio with that press, he could cause us real problems. I'll go 2-1 United just. Bruno, just for Steve McGrath, I'm going to throw in a Bruno Fernandes very justly penalty. Dale, what do you think? What's your score prediction for Wednesday night?
I think United are going to surprise people Wednesday night. I have the feelings we're all feeling a bit annoyed after Sunday and the way things went. I don't want that to cloud my judgment of the next game, because we can't forget 19 games unbeaten. It's a remarkable record, and one defeat. It was going to come at some stage. That shouldn't cloud my judgment, and I reckon the players will want to bounce back. I think they'll want to make a statement, and I'm going to say United to win 3-0.
Callum?
I'm going to go 3-1. I think West Ham will get a goal. But I agree with Dale in the sense that United, after the weekend, Solskjaer will know. He will know in no uncertain terms that there's pressure on him in these last 2 games. Not necessarily from fans who can see the job that he's done, but pressure probably even from the players who'll be looking at him saying, we've done so well to catch Leicester, who people forget were around 12 or 13 points clear of United. They've done well to catch that gap, but I think the players would be going into training looking at Solskjaer going, right, what's the message going to be here for these 2 games, because we've come so far, we need to get the job done. And I think United get the job done tomorrow, win 3-1, and I think they go into Leicester and at least get a point. And for me, United will finish 3rd. I do agree with Dale with that, because I don't see Chelsea beating Liverpool in the match, because Liverpool are lifting the title. So I know I've said they're on the beach, but when you're lifting the title, you need to put on a show. And to be fair, I
I
think
suppose
Liverpool,
that this is their last hooray, isn't it? Really? Do you know
Yeah,
it's their
'cause
last?
United are going to win the league next year.
Exactly. Domination's coming back here.
Oh, stop. I just hope Liverpool don't go drinking now tomorrow night before the game. Do you know what I mean? It seems like they've been doing that since they wrapped up the league.
Yeah, just wait till after.
Wait till after and do it all next season.
Yeah. And Shane, how are you feeling? What do you think the score prediction is going to be?
2-0 United. Rashford, Martial, up the Reds.
Lads, just one final question with regards to this. Who's going to win the league next year? I know I've thrown it out in previous podcasts, other kind of non-related United fans, but I want to throw it out to you because look, we're kind of coming towards the season's end, and we I suppose this probably the last time we'll have a United show before the Premier League is over. So, like, who do you think is going to win the league next year? And Dale?
You have to look at the table every season and see where United finish, and you look how many points we're behind right now, and I think it's too big of a gap to see us win the title next season. We can definitely bridge it and show signs that we're on the right path and maybe do it the following season. I reckon it's going to be City next season. The transfer ban is lifted. They're going to spend big. They want the trophy back, and I reckon they'll lift the league, unfortunately, next season.
Shane?
I think Liverpool are going to win it again. I think they're going to. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're going to invest or not. I know they're being linked with Thiago, and he's a good player. I think he'd suit them really well because they need a creative midfielder. But I think this Liverpool team have one more year in them before the current group of players starts to regress. You know, so I think they'll win it again. I think Guardiola and City, it's weird to say because they have so much quality, but they kind of need to start a rebuild soon enough, I think, because you have Aguero, Fernandinho, a lot of that first 11 are coming into their 30s now. That, you know, De Bruyne, I think, is 29 as well, and they're going to lose Sané. So I don't know.
Silva as well. David Silva's gone.
He's leaving at the end of this year as well. So I think they need a kind of slight rebuild, but they'll be the top two again anyway this next season. But I think Liverpool will win it, unfortunately.
Callum, what do you think next season? Who do you think is going to go out and win it?
Arsenal. I'm joking. No, in all seriousness, I think City will win it because with the lack of a transfer ban, I think they'll invest and go again. But yeah, I've got a friend who's an Arsenal fan, and he always says next year will be their year. So fingers crossed for him.
But he might be right one year because Liverpool have been saying the last 30 years. Finally, they got landed on the button.
You know what? Arsenal will be looking to get top 8 next year. Never mind top 4. You know what? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out on a limb here now. United.
I've just said anyway. Arsenal, and you're going to go out on a limb.
Yeah, Leicester, is it? Palace?
No.
Leeds.
No, not Leeds. Definitely not them. They're going down. You know, I'm going to go Chelsea. Now, look, I'm throwing it out there to say something different, but like, look at the attackers they're bringing in. Like, they brought in Ziyech, brought in Werner. They're bringing in Havertz. That's more or less done. I've seen today, and like they're maybe bringing in Chilwell from Leicester to kind of shore up that left back position. Like, if they can manage to get a centre half as well in the summer, they're a very big threat next season if they can keep all their players fit as well.
All they need a keeper as well, though.
I was going to say that to quote Alan Hansen, or to make a new quote up, you don't win anything with Kepa.
He is shit, man.
On a roll, Callum.
Lads, thanks for coming on tonight. It was a great chat. This chat's after cheering me up because I was like an absolute broyer yesterday after the game. You know, I was completely down the dumps all day today as well, but no, tonight's after cheering me up. It was a good chat, and look, and hopefully now we can go on and do.
I've been on this since 2:00 today. As a result.
Oh, stop. But look, hopefully we can go on, get the result, and hopefully when I talk to you next week, we do have, we have a positive conversation. We're looking at getting a free hit at the Europa League. Let's hope that, But look, lads, thanks for coming on. For all our viewers, we will have this up available on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts as usual, and we'll be up on YouTube as well. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And lads, you want to give any of your social media to share off your own platforms? You
can follow me at Football CFB on Twitter, but please don't if you're an Arsenal fan, because your team are rubbish. I'm joking. I actually like Arsenal. They're a nice club, but it's just funny to laugh at them.
You can follow me there at Stretty News, United News, StrettyNews.com. Thank you.
You can follow me on Twitter at Shane Dowley 97.
So all the Paul Pogba propaganda.
That's the one, right?
Cheers for coming on tonight, lads. I'll speak to you again. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Take care. Thank you.
Cheers.